Good evening, everyone. I am here again to share in Reading Shares Steve Catmull's book, Creative Ink. And tonight's section that I would like to talk about is in the area of afterwards at the end of the book, entitled The Way We Knew Steve. There's a paragraph in here that talks about change and how it kind of went unseen as far as considering Steve Jobs, but Catmull noticed it throughout his career. So he writes, I worked closely with Steve Jobs for 26 years. To this day, for all that has been written about him, I don't believe that any of it comes close to capturing the man I knew. I've been frustrated that the stories about him tend to focus so narrowly on his extreme traits and negative but difficult aspects of his personality. Inevitably, profiles of Steve describe him as a stubborn man who held steadfastly and unwavering to his own ideals, refusing to budge or change, and who often tried to bully others into doing things his way. While many of the anecdotes people repeat about his behavior as a young executive are probably accurate, the overall portrayal is way off the mark. The reality is, Steve changed profoundly in the years that I knew him. So I like how Catmull talks about how everybody viewed Steve Jobs the same way. And everybody, even until years after his death, still viewed him in that same way in the role that Ashton Kutcher portrays in the movie Jobs. But he believes it is completely off market. And I mean, you have to take the man's word for it because he worked with him side by side for 26 years. He saw the change from the mid-'80s all the way up until the time of his death. That being said, I took into consideration change, and are we able to see one another change within the program from beginning of the semester to the end of the semester, from one class to the next class? I can't answer that for everybody other than myself. And for me personally, I decided to tackle the Morrison model again in Design Studio 2. So in Design Studio 1, I tackled it, and nothing clicked with me. It just didn't seem to work out well at all. It seems like I constantly butted heads with Dave over interpretation and understanding of the models, the life cycles, the concepts, and the theories. Now, fast forward a few years later, we're in Design Studio 2, and I decided to take another crack at it. I didn't take a crack at it in the aspect of wanting to use it and utilize it. I wanted to take a crack at it to challenge myself that I can use it and I can utilize it and I can do it correctly. Now the question is have I changed? Have I changed as a designer and as a IT student to show those things? I believe I have. I'm going to have to go back and find all my stuff from Design Studio 1 and compare it to Design Studio 2 and see how the two documents stack up against one another. But ultimately, looking at change and how change affects people, I wonder, after reading that statement, is the stigma still there for, say, myself as being stubborn, unwilling to accept or understand the models or certain aspects of each of the classes, to actually taking a little time off, reflecting on what you have done and what's still in front of you, and looking at it more with the open mindset compared to a closed mindset, viewing it as an opportunity versus a checkbox. I'm using checkbox because Dave constantly loves to tell me that I seem to have been going through the motions and just checking off the boxes as I went through the first section of the program. So the question that I raised to everyone is, can you see the change in yourself within the studios, from one studio to the next, from your first assignment to your last? Can you see it on scale from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester? Can you have to look at a broader range of time from, say, your first class to your last class? I believe the idea of the program at its foundation is to get us to change our way of thinking, understanding, and accepting challenges. And I believe I'm finally seeing that path and I'm making my way through it. Hopefully, this video, along with some of the quotes from Catmull, really kind of hit home and made you think and look at things a little differently. As far as the reading share, I thank you for taking your time and listening. And I'm sure Dr. Tommychek would love to see LSU Pride again in one of Dave's classes. Here's a secret. Dave hates LSU. Can't blame him though. Regardless, everybody have a good night, and I will see you on the boards.